Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Victors with Victor. Today I'm really honored to host some of our great leaders from Kibera who have inspired a lot of young leaders that you see today in Kibera. Leadership is about taking risks and inspiring other people. My leadership today has hugely been inspired by the leaders you see today. Without wasting time, from the left, I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us who they are, what they do for themselves in the community today. Karibuni sana.
I'm wondering why we started from the left.
Honored the left.
My name is Daniel Oroko. I am really honored to be in this conversation this afternoon. And so I'm a child of Kibera. Like my colleagues here, we are raised in Kibera. We have been rolling activities for giving a space for young people and underprivileged in Kibera for a long time, almost a decade. I think it's almost a decade.
Almost a decade now.
Yeah, so we've now decided to venture into the world and also try to get to impact the world differently.
The world?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karibu sana Daniel, I'm one of the beneficiary of your sittings. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, right now I coordinate different programs nationally, regionally, that are geared towards giving young people a space for championing democratic space, to voice their concern, to express themselves, but equally give them an opportunity to connect and network.
Right.
That's what I do.
Great. Karibu sana. Mr. D to the Delta.
Yes. Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Dalton Wycliffe. I'm also honored to be here. I've known my brother here for quite some time. It's a long time, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think like my friend and brother as well highlighted, I've been involved in the community work. I would say immediately I completed high school. That was in 2007. Yeah, so since then we have been engaged in programs trying to support and also address youth unemployment, programs that support youth young leaders and good governance for our community. So that has been there. I've been involved since then, and currently I'm working for a non-governmental organization based in Kibera.
Right.
As much as we have expanded our projects to other 7 more counties, but Kibera, we are still working in all the areas in Kibera. Yeah, and a number of issues we are also doing in Kibera is just we are focusing on public primary health. We are focusing on in health, where we have got clinic within the heart of Kibera, trying to give quality and affordable health care to disadvantaged people that are living in Kibera. Also, just to mention few, we have got maternity also that is supporting mothers, and also within that we have got a program that tries to address issues that young mothers undergo, especially those with children under 5. Yes, so on the other hand, when I talk about economic pillar, we are looking at supporting bright and needy children for their high school education. We're also looking at livelihoods, because within Kibera we understand there's that, what I would say, rural to urban migration that is constantly, I would say annually. So you realize that as much as, yes, we have got a number of organizations or institutions, their presence in Kibera, but still the gap is there. Because this year you impact a number of young people They moved one step ahead. Some relocate from Kibera to other areas, but the rural-urban migration still, you realize you are still within the same area. So I think in a nutshell, that is what I do. But again, we have just started the conversation. I have to continue.
Awesome. Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Chief!
Yeah. My name is Raphael Mahulo. I also was raised in Kibera. I wasn't born here. I came to Kibera after my primary school.
And you took over.
Yeah. But I started engaging myself with the community work in 2004. So personally, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm a post-structuralist. I like critical thinking. I work, I'm actually a founder of an institution called Ignite Africa, and also I'm a curator for Africa Great Lakes Economic Forum. I'm very passionate on issues that affect community. I'm also passionate about conversations that lead to social change within the community and providing platforms for any living human being to be able to play a role and the voices be heard and contribute positively towards the global change. Right now I'm engaged on issues to do with creative and digital economy. We run a lot of program and mentorship, also coaching for the emerging young talent in the tech and innovation. When it comes to music, film, we are also keen and passionate about food and water sovereignty for Africa. So in a nutshell, that's what defines who I am. And I'm a love of life. I love a very simple life, and the one that you enjoy. Yes. I'm happy to be here.
So my first question actually was a bit frustrating, but now I'm trying to shy away from asking it. But I was gonna ask because growing up, like I said, my leadership was inspired by the vigor and vim that I saw in you guys growing up, because you were angry for change for Kibera. And my question was going to be, Raphael, what happened if we start from you?
What happened?
I don't see as many leadership forums for young people as you guys used to offer. I don't really see you guys coming out and calling out some of the things that are happening in the community. What happened?
What happened? A very good question.
And you can be sure I'm asking for a lot of young people who saw your leadership coming up. Yes.
You know. Also, it's very interesting that these two gentlemen, when they were starting,
no,
I was their godfather.
What happened, grandpapa?
But then, I don't want to speak for them, because I know Orogo has even been contesting. Dalton is still working in Kibera here. But then also it always said in an African context that once a father has given birth to someone, he has to focus on. But then also,
I love how you throw the ball.
Yeah. But then also, we also have to be able to look at the issues of Kibera critically.
Right.
And to be able to look at how then do we be able to address the issues that affect Kibera. And there are different groups in Kibera. Majority of the people who live Kibera are guys who have come here in search for a better life.
Right.
There's a place where they have come from. And for me, for us to be able to address the issues of slum, the slums and the issues of rural to urban migrations, there's a need and critical investment in the expansion of the rural economy. That is the only way we can be able to minimize the influx of people coming to a place like Kibera here. But then two also, we also have to define what are the real issues and what space are we operating on. It's not only that we personally have been quiet, but I've been very observant I've been critically analyzing the issues of Kibera, and I keep on interacting with the community.
But Raphael, wait a minute. When you guys were leading,
Yes.
it seemed to me, or rather it looked like you guys had really analyzed the issues, and so we were working towards a success.
Yes.
And as a follower or as a disciple of your leadership, I was following, and now you're telling me you had to go back to the drawing board to analyze
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I was left wondering.
But also, as a student of the world, a lot of things change, right?
Okay, so change that.
24 hours, 24 hours, a lot of things change. We have a lot of young people that have also come up.
Right.
The issues might seem similar, but they're also different. And the approach and the methodology has to also be able to change. Right now, we have quite a number of young people that have also come up, right? And as somebody who believes in transition, leadership is also always good to transit, but not lose touch with the community. Having said that, I think that we still have a lot of issues that really need to be addressed. Issues of education, issues of economic empowerment, food security, water, and whatever. And I've been engaged in such kind of program. There's a program we run with my brother and some of our friends that we give scholarship every year to around 600 young Kenyans across Kenya. And we always have specific number for Kibera and Remaya County, where I come from, Siaya. So with that, it's still leadership. True, I'm still engaged in political economic discourse in Kibera here. Though might not be aggressively, but I'm still engaged.
So Raphael, I'm still gonna corner you before we get to that. But I think you're saying there's a new generation and you appreciate transition. If I was transitioning to a leadership role, which I probably am, and it's the reason why I have my papas here. Papa Dalton, Papa Dan, and Papa Raphael. You see, so I can understand how the approach you guys were using to address some of the issues and go about some of the challenges that we are going through.
Yeah.
So if you say you're transitioning and you have left people that you got Papa, is that question? I'm going to get back to you, but give it thought.
Let me just answer that very quickly before we jump over. You know, right now, even the interaction, when we were growing up, the issues of digital platform wasn't huge like it is today, right? People have taken advantage of social media. People are interacting on WhatsApp. People are interacting on Facebook. So it's not that we personally, it's not like I've really lost touch with Kibera. It is only that I'm somebody who have embraced change and look at more effective platform of engaging and ensuring that whatever I was doing really continues. But then looking at the most appropriate way of interacting and connecting with other people.
All right. Papa Dalton.
Yes.
What happened?
I think as leaders residing in Kibera, I still live within Kibera. You realize that then what we could employ to try to address some of the challenges that our young people are going through, we could use edutainment then. A lot of forums that we could call members of the community to share with them, give them a platform where they could voice their concerns and issues that are there. But we are doing all these within our space. Yeah. But again, the problem that we have within Kibera is the politics that are in Kibera. Yes, at one point I wanted to vie, but again I was asked, are you known to the party? And if you come with your own party, then your ambition is dead as in the morning. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, when you bring a new party here, Kibera is dominated by ODM as a party. And something, and if you're not aware, or you must have heard it, is that there are people who used to call themselves youth when we were then around in our early 20s.
Yes.
Today they still call themselves youth. What does that tell us about Kibera? Is that the real vibrant young people that could bring change don't have a space. Yes. And for you to align yourself with them, you must become a sycophant at some point. Something myself, I dissociated myself with. So I wouldn't want to be a sycophant of someone.
Sure.
Yeah. Because I'm just trying to do whatever I can within my means.
Capability.
Yes, and those changes. And my friend here, we have in some sort of political outfit then, but it wasn't as the political parties that we see around. Yes, at some point I was Nairobi County President, Youth Bunge. He was the General Secretary.
Which
for
party?
yes. And this happened during Obama regime. Then I could remember 2013 to 2017. Yes, and we influenced a lot of young people.
Where is Nairobi
leadership.
Youth Bunge now?
Well, when I passed the baton, yes, no.
Now you guys are just throwing the ball.
Not throwing the
I
ball.
hope at the end of this interview, as young people watching this interview,
Yes.
and every resident of Kibera will be able to understand what happened. So one of the things that I get from Dalton is that you were frustrated by the notion that you have to be a member of this party to vie as a leader. So were you discouraged?
And you not just a member, you must be known to the owners of the party. Yes. Otherwise, using a lot of resources for your campaign and everything might not make you. People might like you, yes. Yeah.
Because people love you.
Yes, and a lot of them they have been telling me.
Community.
Yes, try, just give yourself. Come out and show up for these positions because we think you are a good leader.
Right.
But again, when it comes to the party organ levels, I'm nobody. I'm not known to anyone. I don't have the muscle to ensure that you get even just slotted for nominations. My friend tried and he reached a point he decided no, I would jump to the other party. As much as I'm not known to that party, he was given an opportunity, for party primaries during the nomination, something that might not happen in the X party that I was talking about. So again, yes, we are doing what we can in our own spaces, but again, in Kibera, there's a lot of sycophancy. That's why I'm telling you, somebody at the age of 60 still calls himself a youth, and people believe. You get him elected as a youth rep, a youth rep, and he's at the age of 60. So you ask yourself, is this something I would want also to get myself into? Yeah.
This conversation is very heated and interesting. Orogi. Dan, Orogo, what happened, brother?
I think you can hear.
No, I'm talking to Dan himself. No, you're not going to talk for Raphael.
I'm not talking for Grandpa Raphael and my friend Dalton. But you see, when we jumped on the ship, I personally was motivated by different things. Okay, one is that I had a lot of personal. I think I came to realize that there were a bit misguided opinion on how the society is, how Kibera is, because all of us are getting out from universities or high school, and you already want to bring some change in different areas of Kibera you're coming from.
Right.
But then you notice that people might not be interested in the change that you're advocating for, and that's real. Why am I saying so? Because if indeed our opinion was informed that watu wa Kibra ni watu wamechoka na shida and they would want one of their own, then either the three of us could have made it to different positions, maybe of elections that we would have wanted, or any of us could have been propped up. As you see, this is one of the youth personalities yenye tuna identify now that could be in that position. But like Dalton is saying, who are the youth? Are they following? These are different persons. And then secondly, I think by that time, there's a lot of motivations, Victor. The donor community were willing to support a lot of initiatives
through you guys and
through us.
Yeah.
Raphael has just mentioned, there was a time I think most of these foundations and initiatives and movements were formed out of Pamoja Foundation or something, right?
Yes.
It's good to create that institutional memory, because I think our viewers and young people who are viewing this show who are from Kibra and do not really understand the historical backgrounds about movements in Kibra, and especially movements that are youth driven, could benefit from what we are telling them. So the likes of Raphael and I think Kefangito, Honorable Wino Kotieno at that time, there are a number of youth leaders, the late Gordon, who are pushing for change and creating spaces, advocacy spaces in Kibra. So us who are coming, looking at these young guys and people who we identify and who are willing also to give us the space to articulate the issues that we are having.
And understand our social
our social problems, then we jumped on the ship. And remember, this is a ship that is for social, civil society organization, not political.
Right.
Because political was different issue. If you wanted to do, political movements, then you had to reckon with ODM in this area.
Right.
Which you're not going really to find easy by that time. So I think the option by that time was for us to push through these changes with these civil society organizations that were here. Now then come 2007 post-election violence. You see, that then putting Kibra at the center of things. And the donors wanted to, young people, and I remember, I think the US ambassador, I think it was Randberger by that time.
Randberger.
Yes.
He came to Kibra, I remember.
No, then he came to Kibra and inspired these young people. There is a process of reconciliation going on for the post-election violence. In Kibra is possibly the areas that is on target. And then the embassy wanted young people on Kibra to do something about it. So then there was a space. And I like to tell young people that, jumping into this thing, it's not just a matter of you wanting to do something and having a passion. It is also important for you to understand and be prepared by what is coming ahead of you. Because those are two different things. When opportunity meets preparedness, then you have luck in your hand. But when you are pushing for change and you're passionate but you don't understand the terrain you're operating on, it's a totally different thing. So I think for us, what really put us at a level where we gained a lot of inspiration, but also inspiring young people behind us, is by the fact we had support from different quarters, but also the fact that young people in Kibra by that time had got one objective. It is so important to tell young people of this generation that what Raphael could be talking about in these sides of Katwekera and Dalton would be echoing in Olympic is also what I could echo in Kianda.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So even as much as we had different initiatives, Pamoja, LYN, and all these institutions, Carolina, there was as such was that we were united in the cause.
Right.
And this is why you find that we were keeping on going, and we could check on our welfare. But also there is a level where we meet for inspiration as well. So you understand that there was no competition, even though people want to pull donors to look and focus on the initiatives. But at the same time, donors were equally telling us, there is nowhere you guys are going if you do not have a network. Okay? So that was very, very important by that time. So lastly, I think as I return, it is also important that even as we were not able to push, to get an access to political leadership, but we foresee a situation where one of us in the movement, possibly in years to come, would have emerged as a possible candidate for political position in Kibera.
Right.
So that is how you understand we sprouted Honorable Wino Kotieno for 2013. Even though we didn't agree with some of his, sentiments and his directions on his political standing by that time, but we generally agree that probably is not below 35, but is a face of young people. Okay, there was a general agreement.
That's true.
Even though it's not under 35, the official definition of a young person, but it is within our circle of civil society.
Right.
So I think that was what also informed us, and we are pushing for relocation of these young people. We are pushing for stopping a number of demonstrations, a number of pulling structures of people down carelessly by the government. We were able to stand through those particular things,
Right.
which I don't think this young generation has got enough to stand for, because of the issues that I've just mentioned. One is unity. The one is that we were all apolitical when it comes to standing for political movements for change. So I think those are the things that
Happened.
by that time I am wondering if the young people of this generation would be able to have a cause like we had that could stand against injustice by that time.
I can certainly tell you that I've never seen a movement strong as the movement I saw with you guys, and it's probably one of the reasons I called you guys here today. Raphael, I have a lot of powerful sentiments that I gathered from some of your talks, but one of them that really impacted me was you are the leaders of tomorrow. And tomorrow is here. So, before I finish, tomorrow is here.
Yeah.
You as a papa and somebody that I really looked up to. Are you where you anticipated as a leader? And if yes, then where are you with Kibera on that?
Thanks very much. It's a very interesting conversation.
You owe us.
But then I want to answer you, but pick it from where Dan has actually left it. Also growing up, I'm very clear that this is the leadership position that I want to be. I still believe that, and I've had options. Dalton knows there was a time I was being given certificates to vie in one of the parliamentary seats. Then I consulted with the likes of Dalton on to whether I should go for it or not, right? But then I decided not to. That does not mean that I'm not coming back. In fact, I'm more than interested, actually, because you asked me that question. I've been thinking about it.
It's haunting you.
Yeah. And to be able to define the leadership space that I want to operate on. I'm one person that I've supported most of the young people that have had the urge of being in leadership. Daniel Orogo, Cigar, Joshua Chien, Owino Kotieno, and the likes.
Right.
By virtue that this is a young person that grew up in Kibera as also interested in leadership, I've always been there to support. But then we have two major problems around here. One is that the agenda, the Kibera agenda, has often been defined by the civil society around here in Kibera. And the question has always been on whose interest. You understand? You look at the number of the civil societies around, sometimes they even give you figures in terms of billions that come to Kibera, and you ask yourself, what has changed, right? What conversation are we having? And you realize that the problem is when you define the real issues, normally, most of the organization, I'm sorry to say so, defines the agenda depending what the donors are interested. So it's a way of survival. You understand? So one is the social political movement, that there is a political direction that you need to take, and if you don't take it, probably you cannot get through. But then there's also another direction that is being championed by the donor world, and saying, for you to be able to survive within this space. So until these two issues are critically addressed, then we'll be able to still have a problem.
So you don't feel like the donors are coming to know our issues and solve them, but they're coming with things they want to.
So if today you ask me, if I have money, what will be the one major issue that I will deal with? Is education.
First thing.
You understand? For me, that's it. I will be able to ensure that many young people get education. Okay. The second thing is the economic. You understand? Like, for example, for the last 4 years I worked in Nyanza. I will tell you, and there's this notion for the conversation of fish for sex. There was a time I asked the donor community at a forum that if we know the issue of the fish for sex or the HIV and AIDS around Lake Victoria is actually associated with poverty, then why are you not investing in poverty? And I'll tell you, in that forum, the figures that were being quoted to have been spent, for example, in buying condoms, doing HIV and AIDS or behavioral change, and whatever, I asked them. For me, if and critically analyze and say, it's the issue of poverty. Why are you not investing the same millions and billions in addressing the economic issue? You understand? Because one, and somebody gave an example of safe sex, right? Because of poverty, the women and the men are unable to negotiate for safe sex. But then I asked him, so then what unlock that conversation is that this person is able, one, to negotiate. And if he's able to negotiate, is able to have that power. And the power is education and food. Which means that we need to be able to invest in economic empowerment. Coming back to Kibera here, you know, for example, I see Orogo now leads even the regional program. If you ask me, that is a success. And if I'm to analyze Orogo, I will tell him, regardless of how you look at it, but for me, somebody who you grew up with, you have been successful. If you ask me where Dalton today is, if you ask me whether Dalton has been successful, I would say he has been successful. Because the leadership doesn't just mean that we have to be successful politically.
Sure.
We have quite a number of stages for leadership. If you ask me whether I'm where I want to be, no, not yet.
Okay.
Because for me,
Okay.
it is not yet, but then it's something that I'm working on it. I don't want to say which position that I'm looking at, but then if you look at, for me also, I started with a self-help group. You understand? I led the self-help group. We went to a CBO with Pamoja. I went,
You championed that.
Yeah. And then when I left Pamoja, who took over? Dalton. That's what we talk about transition leadership.
Great. But now, Raphael, what I'm interested in now, you as a grandpa and a papa in leadership that we looked up to, we think that Orogi was really pushing into getting into leadership, and he's really done his best investing his resources and time. You had an opportunity as a grandpa, knowing that this is the party that has the ticket into power, and you say no to that ticket, my brother.
And then let me also.
You closed the door for us.
No. Let me also say it here. I don't want to blame a political party because these political parties are more or less the same. You understand? Any political party, wherever they're predominantly, we have seen even last election quite a number of young people, whether it is in the ODM or the UDA, and I have quite a number of young friends who are actually crying for being denied the opportunity. You understand? But then also, I wouldn't want to be at a particular leadership position because of some undercut.
What do you mean?
You understand?
No, explain.
I really don't want to get into details. But
I want to get into the details.
Some of this.
And some of the young leaders you
Yeah,
inspire
yeah,
want
yeah.
the details.
Yeah.
Raphael.
No, it's all,
No, you didn't pull us into a ship to let it sink and then jump out. Raphael.
Listen, you know, let me tell you, most of the political decisions are made at night, if you don't know. During the day, what you hear is hula baloos. I will tell you for a fact, most of the decisions are made at night.
But Raphael, your ticket was not a hula balloon.
No,
it's a decision that was made
Yes,
at night.
and it was supposed to be a compromise. One had not shown interest in vying. You understand? And by that time, I had actually made a commitment to Ibrahim Opondo.
So
And-
the party chooses you, the people choose it. We chose you,
yeah.
and we were following you. We jumped into the ship.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, Raphael.
I was a conversation. You know, I was not actually given the certificate that this is it. I was a conversation, and there was a serious consideration to whatever. But then also, you also have to be mentally ready for it. You understand? You can be given certificate, yes, right? But then you don't have the resources, because another stumbling block for young people ascending to leadership is the resources, and is the community. You can come with that certificate, whether it is ODM or UDA or whatever. But then also down here, you must also have to have a certificate, which is actually this, the money. The money economy in place like Kibera also determine whether people are going to, because Orogo vied on a Labour ticket, right?
Jubilee.
Or Jubilee.
Yeah.
And Jubilee is one of the biggest political parties in Kenya here. You understand? But then, even that, Orogo could not compete with the big guys because of the money. I'll tell you, there was a time I decided to, go on a campaign trail with one of my friends. And we went to Katwekera. This is somebody that they know. You understand? Yeah? And when we were interacting with people, and people are, really interesting to hear what these guys say. So he talked about his policy. But then, by the time he was leaving, he was asked, Unatuachaje, how are you leaving us? You understand? Then the guy said, he was told by the same people he grew up with.
Yeah, it's a ticket.
No, this guy was told, you are not ready for this thing. Yeah, because I'm not given money. You are not, because I'm not given. Again, I went to Lansaba with another friend of mine who was also vying. And he has, I think, one of the best policies when it comes to campaign manifesto. And he was like talking about it passionately. We were there, we were interacting with people.
They're waiting for that.
My friend, when we finished, the person who mobilized the people was actually expecting that you did.
Yeah.
You understand? And when this guy was telling them, you guys, you know me, he was told, but yes, we know you. But by the time you have decided to go for a political seat, you must have been prepared. And lastly, there was a media debate at Orthodox here. And we have quite a number of young people, very many, they were there. But then I was a part of the audience. When people were leaving, my brother, if you want to know how this thing is serious, when people were leaving, these are our young brothers and sisters who are actually contesting. Nobody bothered to even shake their hands. Yeah? But the big boys who walked in with V8 and whatever, my friend, everybody was running to
Like flies.
Yeah. So it's also demoralizing other young people to come out and vie. You might get the certificate.
Is that one of the things that demoralized you?
So one, I was not mentally ready.
Okay.
Two, I was not financially.
You didn't have the ticket down there.
Yeah, I didn't have money, and money talks.
Yeah. So I don't know how true is that. I'll talk to you and give you an example of the late Kenokot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I campaigned for him.
Yeah.
I'm one of the beneficiaries of his programs.
Yeah.
I did not see Kenokot give handouts, and he made it Food for thought.
No, he was giving.
No, he gave.
I can tell you. He was,
Are you certain?
he was giving. He
No.
was giving. In fact, myself, I've been in 2 main campaigns
Yeah.
for MP aspirants, which the current one is our MP, Walimu. I was part of this campaign team. And I can tell you for sure, you, however sweet, good, you'd sell your policies, whatever you'd want to do to the people. At the end of it, if you don't give out money,
Ticket to the people.
yes, you are on your own.
Dalton, now on your case.
Yes.
I mean, you know the numbers, and Raphael was meant talking about the figures that are coming into Kibera.
Yes.
One of the things that he said that he would advocate for is first education and then economic empowerment.
Yes.
Being in a non-governmental organization
Yes.
and as one of the staff,
Yes.
we have, I don't know, the number is close to 1,000 NGOs in Kibera, if I'm not wrong. They are quite a number, Senor.
Is undocumented.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes, yes.
Quite a number. So we all agree on that.
Yes.
Being and working in an NGO, we do not really see an impactful change in Kibera, and people are questioning what is going on with all these figures
Yes.
that Raphael has mentioned, close to $1 billion or something monthly.
Yes.
Yes, working with an organization, what do you think is the problem?
Well, I'm here on my own capacity. 1, 2, I'll just give. Yes, I work for NGO, and in Kibera we have been supporting 20 scholars annually, and we take them from Form 1 to Form 4. So, and it's something that started in 2013, but I joined the organization in 2017. So I've been there for now 5 years. I can tell you we have been doing 20 scholars annually, and we have been investing a lot of money. In fact, last year we went out of now Nairobi to go, currently we're working in 24 informal settlements in Kenya. Kisumu, Nakuru, Kiambu, Kajiado, Machakos, Kilifi, Mombasa, and of course Nairobi. So Nairobi, then we were just in Kibera, but as from last year, we are also covering Mathare, which is within Nairobi. It's another formal settlement.
Yeah.
We have Viwandani and Mukuru kwa Jenga. So I can tell you in all those regions I've mentioned, in last year scholarship, we took 20 scholars in the 8 counties I've mentioned. That is 160 scholars, each being facilitated the entire school fees from Form 1 to Form 4. And you know, most of them are going to national schools or extra county schools, because our cut mark is always 350 for you to be a beneficiary. And you realize that those people are potential candidates in either national schools, or where a national school in annually we spend close to 90,000 Kenyan shillings. So if you do the math, the 90,000 times 160 times 4, you could see how much we are investing in education. I think, like I said, I'm here on my own capacity, so I don't want to talk much about the organization I work for. But as Dalton, this is what I want to talk about. One, politically, yes. The moment I realize our people seem not to understand their issues, instead they give priority to tokenism. Yeah. When they give priority to tokenism, I said there is no need for running for political offices. That was one reason. Our people don't seem to understand their problems. 2, our people, yes, they love me, and they like the leadership style that I display out there. But when it comes to the real now, the material day, they will ask you for money before they could vote for you. And these are people that you interact with daily. Some of them during my, I even go to their household. I'm the one in charge of livelihood at the organization I'm working for. So you realize that sometimes you go to households just to ascertain the vulnerability level. Yes, just to see for ourselves. Even these scholars, before we award them, we go to the households. Yes, just to see. because there are those who are highly vulnerable, moderately, and least vulnerable. So we would go for the highly vulnerable, because the highly vulnerable will get, these are people that they hardly have a meal a day. Yes. So our people know what they want, but when it comes to political seasons,
It's harvesting season.
they start, it's like harvesting for them. They forget about their problem and start harvesting. In fact, some would go even for the 50 shillings. Just to vote you in and leave with somebody who have got good ideas and objectives. I saw that when we were, Kibera was subjected to by-election, when Mheshimiwa Ken Okoth mentioned died. So I was campaigning for a guy from civil society, Mheshimiwa Steve Ogua. He's somebody who has worked in the civil society, and especially in Kibera, for Care Kenya International. He's a guy who understands Kibera. In fact, one of the NGOs that when we started the movement as young people then was Care Kenya. Yes, and I remember him linking me there to do some works there then. Yes, so that's when in fact, from Pamoja, I transitioned to Care Kenya. That is when I started. My first internship I did with Care Kenya. That was in 2009, after the post-election violence, when they got some money to push on households that were highly affected during the elections. So that is the time I started interacting now with the big NGOs. So what I'm saying in brief is that our people know their problem, but when it comes to election, they go for money. Two, our people don't seem to look at the good ideas and the good brains. I just mentioned here during Obama era, I was elected within Langata then constituency. There were 5 of us. We went to Nairobi County Board. Then was 8 counties, 8 constituencies. That was 40 members. So out of 40 members, I made their leader as the president of Nairobi County. Yes. I didn't give them money. I just sold my ideas and objectives. Some things that I thought then could improve the livelihood of young people. So why is it that when I come, I retrieve back to my home, which is Kibera, then they're saying, yes, you are good, but give us something, which I don't have. So good, you find guys with good ideas don't ascend to those both county assembly and national. So we tried to Honorable Wino Kutieno, like you mentioned, but when he got there, what happened?
So that brings us
he
to
went
the
back to
question
the so-called or the youth who are old, calling themselves youth.
So that brings us to the question of youth and leadership, and I'm going to get to that. But before I go to Dan,
yes,
you campaigned for Mwalimu Orero, who's now successfully in power.
Yes.
What are some of the things that pushed you as one of the vibrant leaders in Kibera to campaign for Orero?
Yes.
And where is Orero from? What do you know about
Good question.
Orero?
Good question. Yeah, I campaigned for our MP Mwalimu Orero. One of the things that attracted me was when I looked at his history as somebody who happened to be the principals of some schools around, just to mention Langata, Upper Hill and Dagoretti.
Right.
One thing, before then he was vying for MP, somebody connected me to him. And through our scholarship program where I work, we exhausted the slots. So there was this mama who had a boy who scored 330 marks. And this mama just, her source of livelihood is through washing, going for laundry, doing laundry for people so that she could get money. Right. So when I approached Mwalimu, the MP now, he said, bring the child to Dagoretti High. When he was there, then he was a principal of Dagoretti High. So this child was admitted to school. So there's that bursary that school get through the government. This child benefited through that. That aside, if you look at some of the successful players that we have around here, when Mwalimu Orero happened to be the chairman of national sports something. So he took the advantage of that and started to search for those young people who are talented and they come from informal settlements. Today we are talking of the likes of Olunga. We are talking of Wanyama,
Yes.
or Liech.
Yes.
Those guys, courtesy of Mwalimu Reo,
Okay, good.
they got opportunity to go and join academies that are outside there.
That's great. So
Yes.
now we are almost 1 year down the line. You talk of General Otieno Kutieno.
Yes.
When he got into power,
Yes.
he flipped. Do you feel like Correro is on the line or he flipped?
Even this morning, I was talking to a guy who who drove me here. I was telling him our roads are very pathetic. And again, you know what? I said these roads were supposed to be done then by the former
MP,
which
yes.
is Imran,
Yes.
when he won the by-elections. But what the guy did, he concentrated more around Jamhuri areas, Makina area and Karanja where he comes from, and forgot about Kibra. I mean Sarangombe ward, especially Olympic area. Why am I saying this? Because the guy did not enjoy the support during by-elections.
Wakule nyanya yao.
Wakule nyanya yao.
Okay, sawa.
Two, about the current MP Mwalimu.
Yeah.
Mwalimu, I can't blame him. Why am I saying this? Even today as we speak, the bursary that is given to constituencies,
Is not
a
out.
constituency is meant to get a budget of 130 million Kenyan shillings. The much they have received as we speak now is not even close to 50 million approximately. They have not even gotten the full annual budget. That is one. Two, you are seeing the national government even paying civil servants is a problem. Counties have gone for the last 3 months not being paid. Why am I saying this? And this goes back to the money issue I talked about when you are running for political office. Our deputy president was not a fit for the deputy president of Republic of Kenya. But what got him there was the money.
Yeah.
The guy had money. In fact, in one of he used money to bulldoze his way there. One of the meetings, the candidates that were mentioned, when they are about to get to finalize, his name was not even appearing anywhere. But because of money, and you could see the reckless talks and conversation the guy is giving. So our people don't look at the ideas, they look at the money. That is a problem with Kenyans.
Thank you, Dalton.
Yes.
So
Including Kibra people.
as we
Yes.
keep moving, Dalton, you say, welcome to Kenya where money is the ticket to power. Dan,
Yes.
as a person who's vied, you vied under the ticket, Jubilee Senior, which is one of the biggest political parties in Kenya. What is it that is going on in the political world that we don't know? And what is your take on the leadership in Kibera today?
Quite a very interesting question, because then I've had the benefit of my colleagues also weighing in on the issue. Remember what I told you when I was just beginning my remarks. It's a sudden realization that the people that you're pushing change, the people that you think would benefit from the change you're pushing, are not ready for it. It's a painful truth. And I think you confirmed with my colleagues when they're saying that you're being given a certificate, but in the background, should you not give them the handles, they'll even tell you you're not ready. And yet there's somebody, they know you, where you've been coming from, and even grown up in the hoods. But all of a sudden you turn not ready because you're not able to give handles. How unserious it is from our people there. But like I said, two different things. One is the times. You see, there's a sudden change of the times. Like I told you, if we were to push further, and if Raphael was to accept, the position, but then I think there could be a figure that all of us could have seen to identify with, that made it. But because of the reason that we respect, he was not able to take it. And therefore, what happens right now in the political scene is that young people really do not have someone they identify with. And that comes to the Honorable Ken Okoth, that has become a role model to a number of people. The late,
That's true.
that has become, and Kibera wished that God would have granted him a lease of life, you know, so that he would accomplish what he actually wanted to do. But look at it also in another way. His ascent into political arena, was it easy? It wasn't. That is also something, that is a story that really young people needs to be told. The late wasn't not just there to ascend. Remember, there was a very fierce nomination, and thank God a lot of factors was working on his favor. Okay? Which I wish that could have worked in the favor of a number of young people. In 2013, the likes of Amayo Kiki, you remember by that time?
Yes.
You see? And it was sudden that it was him and Amayo. And it could, if the party leader was given an option of deciding, he would have decided on a lesser level.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is how he ascended into it in the nomination.
Yes, yes.
Alright? 2017, Honorable El Dowalo, if the party leader would have given to settle on a lesser level by his persona, you know, he doesn't, for me this is what I know, that he is very skeptical of people who serve under him as a personal secretary. So if you see between him and Honorable Ken Okoth, who could he have chosen as a lesser level by that time? Your answer is equally right as mine. So you see, that is what I'm saying, that the story of the political engagement of Honorable Ken Okoth is another story that should be documented. For people to read that it wasn't just the people. We've seen a number of issues where, like Raphael has said, where you have the certificate and the people reject you, or the party rejects you but the people accept you. It has happened in different scenes. For myself, you know, and throwing my bid into the by-elections, I think I went there in a sea infested with sharks. That's what I would say. But I said, let me see what happens into this political scene, knowing very well that it's not been easy. And I'm going to tell you that the intrigues that happens on the background, that is undocumented. And I think talking about here in the first time on camera, as well as I think is very well, that, you know, we went to a nomination, and a nomination that there were people there who were sports personalities, okay? There are people there who, I can tell you for sure, people who never stepped foot in Kibera, who lined up for slotted nomination. This I am telling you for a fact, and maybe first
They
time.
don't know Kibera.
I have,
But they want to
and it's good
represent
to tell you
Kibera.
because I'm telling you first time on camera. You know, I have never told this in public. Our nomination in Jubilee was drama, because we arrived and, you know, was Marika there, the likes of Elijah was there, a number of people that
DJ was there.
yes, you ask, and then we are on a waiting room, okay. And then down there, you are walking, I am walking there. I was privileged to be escorted by my colleague who offered to drive me there. Because then you couldn't walk to Jubilee and you were barefooted and walking as a candidate.
Be allowed to walk.
And just allowed to walk there. and the way Raphael is saying, some of these things, if people begin really to see the reality of political position as that is why we have bad leaders in Kibera, is this journey. So we are in Jubilee, and fortunately, and this is why I always see Jubilee could have acted very well and other parties could have followed. So in our being ushered into the party, what they did well was they tell you that you are here and you get there alone as a candidate. If you have dancers who want to entertain you and escorting you, let them remain outside. So in the boardroom, you find yourself there as candidates. Not as your bodyguards and not as people who want to sing behind you, they're down there. And I think that gave me a lot of opportunity to see. So here I am with the likes of Mariga, okay? And you guys are preparing because the elections board are waiting for you guys, and you're being, one by one, you're being ushered. Because you're being interviewed for the position. And you ask this guy, what is it that you have been asked on the other side? And then this guy tells me, the sports person in course, he tells me, bana, hao watu wameniuliza swali zingine mimi sijajibu. And we got interested, like what? And then he's asking me, unajua, wanatuliza about the words of Kibera. And I ask you don't know the words. And then he says, no, I only know about Karanja and you know, down in like
Karanja is not a word.
It's not a word.
and that is what he says. They are difficult questions that the elections board have asked him there. And a number of people who are lined up for the nomination, equally very green, around Kibera, and doesn't know anything. So the drama is, after the nomination, and we were very fair. I am giving this story because people do not know the intrigue.
They still went ahead and gave him the...
They still went ahead.
Yes.
And you see, we told those guys.
Yeah.
We told those guys in the boardroom, even before we leave. And we are telling them, you see, we have seen and we have heard in the quarters that you are going to settle on one person. We knew. You're going to settle on one person at the expense of some of us. You see? And it's very unfair. And they told us, you know, guys, we are not going to announce any person. You guys have been rated based on what you have been interviewed on. And I agree with what Raphael says. You're being asked even your counts. How much do you have in your account currently? Those are the questions the elections board are asking you. So other people are already saying they have millions probably from betting companies and, you know, this support. And you know, these people who have even gone out as betting companies and all this. But you're being asked how much do you have in your account. If the party has to support you and you find, you say, because you're asked, even as you go for nomination, to produce your bank statement, to attach your bank statement.
Yes.
So by the time you're going there as the elections board, they know, because you already attach it in your bank statement.
But do you question this? What is?
Of course you have to, but you see, they tell you these are the regulations of a party. Party has got their constitution. Once you subscribe to them, like Raphael was saying, you abide by the party. So the intrigue is, to cut the long story short, Victor, is that once you reject that, and we petition that process, and it was halted by the court, now the political drama begins on the night, as Raphael was talking to you about. You begin to receive calls that you withdraw your amendment because you petitioned. It cannot go on. Mariga cannot now go on as an MP of Kibera because you guys have petitions the party. So, a number of calls. The likes of Boni Kalwale called. The likes of Nixon Korir called.
So this
the
calls
likes of
come
these
with
guys.
threats or just?
It's just a thread of calls.
Okay.
And please don't ask me further to the point where we are even summoned to go and meet the deputy party leader by that time. He calls by himself over the night and tells you, please do not miss the meeting. And you know who I'm talking about, is the current president of the Republic of Kenya. So, and we are asked to go. And all these shenanigans and money comes in and all these things, and the petition goes through. In short, if you want to get into politics, like Raphael have talked about, beyond money also, be prepared of the psychological, be prepared of this kind of calls and the capacity to handle them. But I also wanted to say, if I was asked with experience, what is the problem of Kibera? Okay? What is it that we keep on repeating and keep on repeating and keep on repeating? Raphael, from his experience, probably understands, and Dalton also from experience probably understands the issues of money, economy, and all these things. From my engagement, I don't think those are the problems of Kibera. I really don't think. Kibera by itself is a problem of political structural exclusion. I would like to tell you. That is where you find you excluded from participating in the economy, and that is how poverty comes in. You excluded even in a representation, even citizens. We have the people in Kibera who until even struggled 45 years down the line after independence to be recognized as citizens of the Republic of Kenya. These are the Nubians seated here. I am even wondering if Kibera, the way it was gazetted as a bush and as a forest, and that is how the name Kibera has come. I am wondering if Kibera has been gazetted as a human settlement.
That is one of the powerful sentiments that I always carry with me from Raphael.
Yes.
Because I remember in some of the forums, one of the things that he was talking about is Kibera is not gazetted. And so this brings me, I don't know, Rogi, if you are done, but then Raphael, what then and how do we go about this? Because if Kibera is not gazetted and with the population in Kibera, how then do we solve the issues or bridge the gaps in Kibera?
I think there have been several attempts. Right now we hear the title deed that has been given to a community trust. So there has to be a process for that. There was a demarcation that was done. So and a number of issues have cropped up out of that. So therefore means that there's certain recognition onto that. But then the other problem, part of the problem is that when you are recognizing a community that have lived at a particular place, it has to be holistically. You understand? What Dan is talking about exclusion. We have to be very critical of that. I'm very happy that the Nubian community have been given, or here they've been given the title for them being there. But then also, for me, the best way would have been that, and I told them to be very, very cautious. The way the town and the city is growing up, I think they ought to have negotiated for even a land outside. Because the city is coming and is coming rapidly. You understand? Right now you walk in Kibera, there are a lot of tarmac road, things that weren't there, you understand? So it's showing that slowly, even the Kibera, because Kibera sit at the CBD, you understand? So it's going to be pushed a little bit. For me, if you ask me, I think the community really needs to still renegotiate. But then also, as we're talking about what Robo was talking about, the socio-economic and political exclusion of people, land right is one of the basic rights that really needs to be addressed, right? But then go beyond just the land. I schooled with my brothers and sisters from the Nubian community here, and I understand them. You understand? And some of them actually, it's not that they don't lack land. We have some of them have a land, for example, in Kibos. We have a number of them from Kindu Bay. We have a number of them, whatever. So the issue of the land, still for me, needs to be critically addressed. But then I wanted to say something that Rogo talked about. When you're talking about also the issues of Kibera, there's also another problem. The young people think that vying for political position is a hobby. You understand? I'm saying so because part of the reason why we have not ascended to power, anytime that there's an election, an opportunity, we are like 25 of us. Some of the people that you look at and say, are you really serious?
No, serious jokers.
You understand?
But also, Raphael, you're one of the people who championed Pamoja, the organization, which was really an umbrella organization for young people to come. And I remember during your leadership, you sit down and decide, we are taking Dalton. Dalton, and people would agree, knowing this is a brother who carries our problems with us and is going to represent us.
Perfect.
So then, after now, Pamoja, I don't know what happened to Pamoja, we're yet to understand. How then do you expect these young people wandering everywhere to be able to make a decision on who is vying, on who is representing young people in Kibera? There's no unity among young people as it used to be in the youth, as it used to be during your generation.
Let me tell you one thing, my friend. Poverty is a bad thing. Poverty takes away your dignity. And the moment that is kicked out of what defines you as a human being, you don't really have a even platform to negotiate. Let me tell you this. In 2022 election, I was very interested in Kibera, and by that time I was still staying in Kisumu. And I used to come just to know what is it that is happening in Kibera, politically. And at one of the media debate at Orthodox, there were close to 30 candidates. You understand? Vying for the same seat. And I told them, look, this is a very good indication that we are agitating for change. We are pushing ourselves to the position of leadership. And there is a need, we are actually showing that there is a need for political corrections to be done in this community. However, it will have been good or prudent enough to be able to sit down and among the 33 of you, decide on 2 people or 1 person to vie. You understand? But then also, there are quite a number of them that think that they want to vie so that somebody somewhere will notice them and invite them and say, I want you to support me. And in return, negotiate for some money handout. You understand? But then what happened is, you realize that when you have so many people, it is easy to manipulate the system. You understand? Because the first thing what happened is that somebody somewhere who knows and has schemed will identify some few potentials among you and might even come and give them money and say, go and vie. When these guys come, their main key is to disrupt the political atmosphere. You understand? And because all of us are doing social mobilization, we come in the cocoon of 10 people, 100 people, and whatever. But then the master, the person that comes and is buying almost all the dancers. Have you ever been to a dance floor? And then there's this beautiful young lady steps onto the dance floor and has very good moves. What happened to the rest? It's like everybody now create a space.
Retreat.
Create a space for that. So that is what happens in the political
So poverty makes you pervert.
Poverty makes you make unusual decisions.
Right.
Because what happens, for me, if you ask me, among the few people that I saw there that were actually have substance, among them was Rogo. You understand?
Yeah.
Owino Kotieno also have a substance, quite a number of them, but some of them were jokers. Secondly, there were also some people that were being propelled by the NGO or the donor world, either in the name of feminism or in the name of environmentalists or in the name, and it's very painful that the decision and it's not laugh. This is
I know it's not funny, but it's also funny.
I saw people vying on the basis that some people somewhere have sponsored them.
Right.
And there are people who think that because you are a young person, by virtue that you are a young person, it is your time to vie. There are people who also believe, but because they are women, they have to be on the ballot.
Right. So
Right.
it's for the wrong reasons. Yeah.
And I always say, my friend, if you are a man like me, if I cannot convince my girlfriend or my wife to vote for me or to campaign for me, my friend, there's a problem. If I cannot convince my own family, and then also there are people with questionable character. You understand? People know what 1 or 2 things that they have done in the community, despite the fact that we grew up together with them. But then somebody somewhere financing them to come and actually disrupt what probably the foundation that has been laid for a Kibera product is actually denying other people opportunity. Thirdly, the way Kibera is, I believe, like Orogo said, quite a number of people, and even Dalton had mentioned it, quite a number of people really don't want Kibera to change.
Because it's
By design,
center
it
for them.
is political, the development partners, and
And these are prominent people.
yes, and until we sit down and start questioning on whose interest are we serving, then there will be a different conversation.
I'm interested to get into that because we used to sit down and you guys would guide us into questioning. Now no young person sits down. I'm still interested to support some of the forums and probably facilitate young people come together as you guys used to organize, because it was powerful, and it's evident through my leadership that it was powerful. Dana Rogo, having highlighted some of the challenges and the things that happen as we close, what is the hope for youth in politics?
Is it what is the hope? But then you could have asked if there is hope first of all.
Is there hope?
There
is hope.
But I think there is, by the fact that we even seated here to discuss the future of Kibera, and be proud. And I like what Raphael was saying, that when we look at ourselves, and we that kind of challenge in the background where we are coming from, but still made it, self-made, and thank God that we, by nature, we have worked to be where we are. We're sitting here telling our story and keep raising our story. Then, that in itself, that there is a hope that other more young people who are genuinely interested in changing Kibera are somewhere. You'll meet them. But now, we are staring at a situation where, with all the technological advancement, my colleague Raphael mentioned, with everything that is now coming, in Kibera, a lot of changes that we can't really, so quick. Seeing these, a lot of conversations are now shifting to virtual spaces. And that's why there's not a lot of in-person convening to even tell people, make them feel in person. That's what I'm saying. There's a value of in-person conversation like the one we are having. Yes. It could have been different when it's virtual.
Right.
But now, because of in-person, I'm able to see the feelings, I'm able to see the opinion, I am able to even honestly engage the body language and see how serious are we. So I think the technological space, by nature that is growing, has denied Kibera the opportunity to in-person sit and have a conversation. But I also think it's an opportunity to, through your platform, to start really, like you say, to support these spaces.
Right.
Where you call, Raphael, I, and Dalton, to even have a sitting with the young leadership, and tell them how that process has been through where we are. The other hope is that age is working in a disadvantage of some of these, political brokers who are, creating that barrier for young people to ascend to this position. They will not be youth for a long time. Like Dalton has said, even at 60.
They're still youth.
They're still youth. But I don't really think that they will keep that momentum. The advantage of age. Young people must really begin to think of how not only to ask them to leave those spaces, but to deliberately dislocate them from those spaces.
Right.
Because that is a problem we have. We have known that, for example, at the national level, if you just say opposition, then even a young child will begin to tell you, I think it's this person. Because we are systematically oriented to think that opposition is only a person. Okay? To think that in this region, ODM is associated with some people. Why then would we begin to inculcate a culture on our young people to begin in terms of movement, shifting movements that are issue-based in Kibera, right? That are issue-based in Kibera. But we are talking about how then would we have a movement that would create potent spaces for young girls to have safety and be safe. For youth, for example, to have their voices in these spaces. So if we are issue-based in our movement, then that slowly metamorphosizes to be a political movement. And young people can dislocate and disorient this political structure that is a barrier. So there is hope that you can create with the spaces, that we have. And lastly, for the three of us, I think it's important for us to deliberately be the voices. Sometimes. It's quite important because we are very brave enough to point out the mistakes that are happening in these regions. Through the spaces that we have, through the influences that we have. If we are feeling that there is, a political misrepresentation, The problem that we have also is we want to be correct. Okay? If we want to be safe, that we are looking at ourselves, what if I chastise that person? I say, you guys, you're doing a wrong thing. Will I freely walk in Kibera? This is the fear that sometimes we really need to deal with.
Right.
There comes a time when the panel of the wise and the people who've been in through that terrain must boldly not be politically correct, but must be pointing at the evils of a society like Kibera.
So there is hope. Now, on the same question, Danto,
Yes.
living in Kibera, working in Kibera, and being in this community, what is the hope for Kibera?
There's less hope. Why am I saying this? Currently, if you walk down the street here, you'll see a lot of young people, especially today being on a weekend, that drunk. And a good number of them are abusing drugs as we speak now. It's not like our days when we, over the weekends, we could converge in one of the halls and talk about issues that are affecting the community.
Yes.
Today, when you walk down there, you'll see them, including ladies, very drunk, extremely drunk. Two, I've been working, because I work in the community, I'm seeing LGBTQ getting lots of traction to Kibera community. And I'm so worried as a person. Yeah, whether we might have, in 20, 30 years, we might have another generation like us talking about the social vices affecting the community. I'm so worried. Politically, our young people are, how do you call it? Where the Al-Shabaab thing, where
radicalized.
Yes, a lot of the radicalization that is taking place in Kibera politically, I don't think still it's going to stop any soon. You find young people living good brains and by default getting somebody who cannot even represent their issues at the county assembly. That should be worrying us, because if you elect somebody who cannot sanction a governor about the issues that are happening in their wards, how are you gonna get some of the development activities that ultimately would help or in alleviating the lives of people in your area? So there's still less hope. But finally, as I conclude, I think it's high time the four of us seated here, we start creating platforms for young people to speak about their issues. Let's not wait for 2027. If we are to start that movement, so this marks the beginning of it, that we need to start now sensitizing our young people about the issues, the social vices that are going around here. You know, a lot of young people, a lot of young people are into drugs, and it's really worrying me, because I'm looking at these people that the next society in 20, 30 years to come. And if today the largest thing they could do is drugs, it begs the question of the reproductive age and the future of this country. Two, I mean, it's a mate somebody, I don't know who I can call that. That is a woman calling. I'll talk to her later. Yes. So what I'm saying is that hope is there, but it's hope will be there for the young people if today we decide to start creating these platforms for them, to talk to them. Because whatever is happening currently in Kibera, I've mentioned the drug issue. It's a menace. The LGBTQ. You know, I know a number of friends that, and I'm really shocked if today, I know a very beautiful lady married to a lady, you know.
Another beautiful lady.
Yeah, I know. The other one, I don't know. She's beautiful.
A gentle lady.
Yes, so it brings a lot of questions, and you start asking yourself, what is wrong with our society? What is wrong? Where's the church space? You know, all this hope. You know, the other day we were doing some baseline in Madari, and the guy was driving us. We saw a very nice constructed church, and the driver was telling us, there, what happens there? They are there to sell hope to people, and the people they are selling hope to are the poor. That is why the churches are there.
Right.
But the other side of the coin, the churches have really abdicated their role of ensuring that good morals are there in the society, and instead they have become political. Yeah, so, because some of these vices through the church, some could be addressed. But today we see churches even taking sides in politics. Yeah, they are those are affiliated to you as Kevin, as one of the aspirants, that those are affiliated to Dan. And these are people who should tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because they're the people who carry the holy book. Yes. But at the end of the day, you find them not speaking what is there in the book. They're speaking in their own mind. So in a way, they're not living the society in the right way. Hope is there, but less hope. Because what is happening, I'm telling you, today have a walk, just have a walk around Kibera. It's on a Sunday. You'll call me tomorrow and tell me exactly what I'm saying to you.
I agree with you.
Yes.
But now, to Raphael, as we wrap up, I mean, this week I was talking to a gentleman. There is a Kibera group, a very active, radical Kibera group on social media, and people are very confident commenting and insulting each other. I was talking to this one person and I was telling them, this is keyboard confidence. If you want an in-person confidence, talk to people like Dalton, Raphael, Dan, and the likes, your generation. How does it make you feel? Because I know you for one of the people who was radical about leadership and also addressing social issues of Kibera and the young people in particular during that time. How does it make you feel that young people are just confident on the keyboard and not able? Because I know you for somebody who was addressing issues passively but also aggressively and solving conflicts in the community. Today, people are just throwing it on social media and are scared to meet in person, like you're saying. So how does it make you feel as a leader who mentored a lot of these young people?
One, we have to give it to the digital spaces. I think it has also given people an opportunity and a platform to be had. Probably people who might have not gotten an opportunity. The question is to whether we are using it positively. I think that is the fundamental question, and how I wish that we could be using it positively, right? I don't think insult is helping anyone. As a leader, as a young person, as a human being, you have responsibility to be accountable to whatever action you take, right? So there's need, I think that whatever you are doing for me is going to be another game changer. So that we are not just keyboard warriors, that we'll be able to have the conversation, right? I know Carolina for Kibera have been organizing forums. Those has to go on. I know Dan Orogo initiatives also have been organizing. Those forums has to go on. We have to actually convince people that we need those forums, right? But then also, leaders also has to be responsible. You see, sometimes I don't really look at young person and I get disappointed because I look at the top leadership
structure. Yeah.
And I was telling young people, sometimes God gives you people that is like you so that you can be able to learn from them.
So it's a
there's how it works. People are guys who believe in God. Sometimes you can be able to push too far to the extent that you are given somebody that is you.
So Gachagua is me. That's what Raphael is saying.
So that you learn. It's not only Gachagua. There are quite a number, even in the community level. You understand? And I wanted to comment with all these guys are talking about. We are talking about hope, and we are talking about the future of community. There are certain things that need to happen. One of them is that whatever you are doing need to be consistent. You know, not just us being here and then the next day it's not there. There need to be continuity. But then also you also have to look at who are you inviting. Don't just invite people by virtue that they're leaders on their own making, on their own right. Bring people of substance, people that when they talk, people listen and learn something from them. Two, we need to be able to create spaces in Kibera where we could be able to tap into the creativity and innovativeness of these young people. You understand? If we're talking about music, we're talking about dance, we're talking about tech, we are talking about the journalistic aspect of it. We are talking about creating a social movement. And as leaders also, I think we need to have a conversation so that we come back, right? We come back and we look at where are the gaps, what is it that is not working, and we start redefining that we could be able still to champion certain change. Third, and as wine, my last point is that hope is created. You can decide to create your own hope, and you can decide to believe in your own hope. But let me tell you, in this country, we have serious issues. I'm one person who believes in the fundamental right, and I always don't want to engage into human rights issues and whatever. But there's a problem. There's a problem in the sense that in African context, there are only two places where people take the hopelessness. One is the church, and two is what we call the bar, or the club, or the alcohol den. Those are the two people where we take our two places where we take our frustration. The question is the church really advocating for positive transformation and change today? I don't think so. Is the political structures that we have advocating for change? Is the donor community or the development community agitating for change? Is that you have your own answers, but then we also have to look at it critically and be able to define that if we are to change Kibera in the next 5 years, these are the things that we need to. We need to be able to to link Kibera with the outside world. We need to bring the outside world to Kibera. You understand? We need to be able to invest heavily on the intellectual capacity of our people. You know, we need to be able to provide them with opportunities.
Thank you, Raphael. As we wind up, Dalton,
yes.
You were in Kibera, they just concluded demonstration.
Yes.
I was hosting a gentleman here who I've seen growing up, and the guy who had the hardware, it was really sad. We helped him fundraise some of the money, but he had also created a job for young people. He lost over 20 million in investment in his business. When taking you back to 2007 and what happened, we both witnessed what happened.
Yes.
Does what happened recently scare you? And where does that leave Kibera? Knowing that in this century we are still having to go through that.
Yeah, I think let me start by saying that what happened around Karanja road there, it was politically instigated. Why am I saying this? Words are outside there that it was a pre-planned activity. And our Nubian community, there's always fought for that land that the PCA church is sitting on. I'm told they have even gone to court for the same, and they lost. And because there are those who wanted, just what the Azimio team said, that Jubilee is planning to bring some bad people to be part of the Azimio Mandamano, and those people, their intention is to cause harm and problems. So when people left Kamkunji grounds, the procession heading to town, so when they reached Karanja Road, understand they met a good number of young people waiting for them there with machetes. And if you want to know this thing was pre-planned, those machetes, I'm told, because we have people who are there, they were the same in size, color. Yes. Today, if you want to go to buy a panga, probably you might not get the same as the one I'm going to buy, unless we have gone to the same shop. So you get what I'm saying. So this thing was planned. Yes, whatever happened, yeah, it was a sad thing. The following day, we went there also just to see, because the PCA host a vocational training where we link some of our beneficiaries,
people, yeah.
yes, for the training opportunities. So they stole everything. Yeah. So we have apart from the 207 that it was just spontaneous, the chaos just erupted. This one was pre-planned.
And how does that make you feel as a young person from Kibera?
Yes.
Who had experienced 207?
It isn't a good thing, because one, when you are burning, we are talking of livelihood here, where people draw their livelihoods. So when we go touch them or bring them down by act of arson, then are we progressing as a community, or we are moving 5 steps behind? So to me, it isn't a good thing. And again, when I hear in Azimio planning staging demos after Ramadan, again, it's not a good experience. Yes, it wasn't, and it's not something that people would be clapping for as young people. And these are some of the things that gave birth to Obama project of Yes Youth Camp that was happening in Kenya. Because after the post-election violence, I read that document. They went around Kenya to see why is it that particularly young people are heavily involved in post-election violence. And one of the issues they found was young people were idling around. They had no constructive engagement. So 2, they didn't have businesses. So instead of protecting, if none of them had any business, why would we go and start protecting businesses of people we don't know? So again, that also gave that opportunity for young people to steal, loot, and touch those businesses.
Right.
So it isn't a good thing.
Thank you. As we close, gentlemen, Dan, having understood and learned what you learned, what next for Dan? What should we expect?
If you give me 1 minute to address these issues of violence, we probably might experience more violence, because we are breeding a generation that has seen violence.
Yeah, true.
As they grow up, when they are going to school, they meet violence during elections and electoral period or any other thing. Some of us who are there in 2007 and still here, the same images that always plays on our mind when we see this burning of tires and houses being torched, it is a reminder, and it keeps on reoccurring in our mind every time it's reoccurring on our mind. So apart from problems that Dalton has mentioned, drugs and substance abuse, social problems, we have a problem of a social psychology that is oriented in reacting to violence and expressing violence. That will go on. It has to be dealt with.
How then do you deal with it as a leader? That's
why I say it is quite structural. Remember when I say the problems that we are facing is quite structural, that it has to be addressed at the national structural level that it comes to address these issues. Is violence poverty? Yes or no? The discussion, you can say, why are some people so violent? Some will say because they're idle. Others may not be idle. Others may be seeking an opportunity to revenge. Like then we had. So the anatomy of violence in Kibera in itself It is something that is weird. It's something that is just wired again in our socio-political issues that we're mentioning. I just wanted to touch on it so that we don't still offer a fodder for politicians. Because as long as we have politicians, young people who do not have something to do, like Dalton has mentioned, they're available to cause political, tensions and issues around. Something that puzzled me, my colleague mentioned it, the issue of slum in itself, Victor, the issue of informal settlement in itself. By the fact that there is an informal settlement is an act of social justice. By the moment you can pass over and see it, it's an evidence of social injustice. Kibera was at the same league of various slums that you could document in the world. We are so famous of mentioning Soweto in South Africa. Right now we have South Africans from Soweto coming to work in Kibera to see if Kibera still exists. And there are so many slums. We have Cubans who have got very big slums still coming to see Kibera and taking photos. Kibera still exists.
The largest slum.
The largest slum. We are even, like that, my colleagues were mentioning, it is the first paragraph you're always pulling in proposals. I can guarantee you, look at proposals for money. It is the first paragraph.
I can attest.
Yes.
I've traveled the world, and when I go, I'm introduced as Victor from the largest slum in Africa.
Will almost be your identity. That will almost be your identity. Why? Why? So I just wanted to touch on it because you
Why is the question I want to ask you?
You can pull a conversation, but it's quite intriguing, the issues of Kibera to be discussed in totality. It's a painful thing, it's a political, it's economical, it's religious, it's spiritual. All aspects, all the dimensions of life in Kibera, you can actually define Kibera in all those dimensions. We are dealing with the issues of dealing with matters of spirituality in Kibera. My colleagues have attested. The church in Kibera, the religious issues in Kibera. And instead of becoming a moral ground, what are they doing? Mobilizing young people to fight and burn a church and a mosque.
Being an arbiter.
Look at that. If you are mentioning of issues, political parties, we've talked about political parties in 2 hours. But if we could have had serious political parties in Kibera, and ODM being Kibera is their strongholds, I can guarantee you, if there is any other democracies and mature democracies that could have understood, ODM's first issue could have been to deal with the issues of Kibera. Because that is in their manifesto. If they're talking about social justice, as a party that is social democratic party, then what could have been an issue?
But who is in ODM that is from Kibera and understands Kibera?
Oh God, I mean, members of, you see.
Yeah, what Orogo is talking about is a serious matter. You know why I'm also saying so?
Yes.
We have seen during the national celebration where big screen was mounted into a stadium, and the government, what they did was projecting images of Kibera on a national celebration when the entire world is watching. It was on Jamhuri or Ramadan, one of them, and they're talking, and even that they did a documentary where they were showing women struggling. They were talking about bad drainages and whatever. A government, and you see, this is true. It's the government that we are paying taxes to, and it's the government that has the resources. You understand? It's a government that is worshipping its own failures. Secondly, Orogo started with a point that there's more violence that is coming. I'll tell you for a fact. There's more violence that is coming in the sense that the political class is accountable to none. That the kind of promises that we give during the election, and by the way, I've been into this protest just to observe and to see what kind of constituency that is there. And this is the first protest that I've seen, political process, that we have more women participating. You understand? Most of the political protests that we have seen, we rarely see women. But this one, we have a number of women. Some of them were even running mad.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the poverty. You know, there's, for a man, well, I was talking about dignity that poverty brings to you. There is nothing humiliating to a man than waking up in the morning knowing that you are unable to feed your family.
Right, yeah.
You understand? And to a mother is even worse. So we have a society that has nothing to lose.
Hopelessness.
You understand? That they think even if I'm killed during the process,
It's better.
I'll be buried as a hero. And by the way, this protest, the constituencies that I've seen is not the Azimio. These protests that I've seen, there are more Kenya Kwanza into this protest than the Azimio. You know the good thing with Azimio, especially those who have been followers of Raila, I think because of whatever has happened, they've been quick enough to make peace with it. They know it normally happens. But there's another constituency or there's another class that to them this is a shocker.
Yeah.
People believed that this government of Dr. William Ruto will give priority to young people, will give priority to Mama Mboga, will give priority to Boda Boda Rider. I was in Mukuru, kwa Jenga, and there was a base that was Kenya Kwanza base by that time. And they were good friends, and we were having a conversation. And one of the people really made a joke and said, so we are now having the chair of the EACC, who is, I don't want to mention because that is a millionaire. You understand? We're having a cabinet, but the poorest is has 100 million in bank somewhere. You understand? So there's a problem. There's a problem to an extent that when we are now getting into the election, people believe that whoever is vying is a millionaire. You understand? We are getting into a situation that for you to be able to even invite the community or few communities, you have been given money to give. We are getting into a situation that even getting to church, people will stop giving tithe and expecting the pastors, the sheikhs in the mosque to give them. We are getting at a situation where people will believe that protest and war is the order of the day. Yes.
So as we close, Raphael, what should we expect from Raphael, the community leader? What next? I'll ask the same question.
For me, I think, because right now I'm back in Nairobi, the 4 years and 5, I was away. I'm back. I think what you should expect from me is I'm working on a program that I will be able to mobilize the generation that I was with growing up.
Yes.
The likes of Dalton, the likes of Orogo, and the likes.
I'm happy to be part of that.
Yeah. First to have a conversation among ourselves, and then we see what is it that we can do. So is something that I've been consulting with Dalton. Sure. I've been consulting with Dan Orogo. Sure. We will be hosting a conference for entrepreneurs and innovators.
Awesome. And
we're bringing in really quite a number of diverse experience from Africa and across the world. So that is what you should expect from me, that I will be more visible, but then also I would want to mentor quite a number of young people that are coming up.
You are continuing
mentorship. Yes. No, I'm not.
On high vibration.
No, for me is to be able to identify some.
I look forward to that because after you guys we had mentors.
Yes.
They are good mentors.
Yes.
But I do not subscribe to some of their ways.
Yes.
I know you guys are the people who call black and white white.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be good to have you back in the community and expect a fight between you and this and the mentors.
And by the way, Victor, for me, I'm bringing also a different angle because I also transited from the NGO kind of into social entrepreneurship.
All right.
So I want to be able to talk, train, coach, mentor socioeconomic leaders, because self-reliance, self-belief, and self-dependency is what's going to give people freedom. I'm not saying that others stop what they're doing. No. But then we have to diversify. Right.
So Raphael, what I would offer as Victors with Victor, we're reaching currently close to 500 young people in Kibera, and we hope to reach more.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, we are happy to host you and advertise that on our platform.
No.
And we're also happy to be part of it. Asante sana. Dalton, what should we expect?
I think we should have continuous engagement with these young people, and to tell them that nothing comes on a silver platter. You need to work for it, and you need to remain consistent in whatever you are doing. And more importantly, you should have some role models.
Awesome.
Yes.
So we are expecting a collaboration of the same work.
Yes.
The team is coming back together. And just two statements.
I think it's just, for me, is to still continue pushing for voices in these spaces. But that is at a level. My thinking is just to still come back to Kibera and create these spaces for conversations. I know we've taken different approaches on how we want to address the things, but I think for me is just to provide the connection in the network. From the level that I operate, is to ask them to come and support these particular initiatives in Kibera through the spaces that I have.
Right.
I still have an ambition that if any of these guys are not going to run for political position, or any other young person is not going to occupy that space, then I think it's to offer myself for 2027.
For what position?
In advance. For whatever position that I will see that is important, given the factor that Raphael talked about and where I can. So I'm looking forward for your collaboration as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was nice hosting you guys. Thank you guys for taking your time to come. For our viewers, thank you very much for taking your time to watch Victors with Victor. Subscribe, like, comment. If you have questions, reach out directly on the comment sections and we'll throw them directly to these leaders. Until I see you again. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Thank you guys for the good work you did with